Welcome back again, everyone. It's Dina Calmetta here with CWW7 News. And for today's broadcast, I do have some headlines I'd like to bring to you in regards to some events that have occurred in the last few days. We will touch base with the United States and China, as well as Russia, Iran, and Israel. But I first would like to talk about the United States and Russia. It is being reported Russia's defense ministry stated on Tuesday its Su-27 jet intercepted U.S. and Swedish reconnaissance planes over the Baltic Sea, where NATO is holding the Baltic's 2019 naval drills. The ministry said in a statement, on June 10th, Russia airspace control means over the neutral waters of the Baltic Sea detected 2 air targets approaching Russia's state border. It also said a Su-27 fighter jet of the Baltic Fleet's Air Defense Force was scrambled to intercept the targets. And just last week, a U.S. missile cruiser and Russian destroyer nearly collided on Friday in the Philippine Sea, with the two vessels coming at least 100 feet of one another, as each nation traded blame for the incident. American officials said the USS Chancellorsville was forced to take emergency actions to avoid Russia's UDLA IDD 572. It was the latest string of air and sea confrontations between the US and Russia, while the US Navy ship was recovering its helicopter on a steady course and speed when the Russian ship maneuvered from behind and to the right of the U.S. ship, which accelerated and closed to an unsafe distance of 50 to 100 feet. The Navy's 7th Fleet said in a statement early on Friday morning, this unsafe action forced the Chancellorsville to execute all engines back full and to maneuver to avoid the collision. We consider Russia's actions during this interaction as unsafe and unprofessional and not in accordance with the international regulations for preventing collisions at sea, otherwise known as the rules of the road. Speaking to reporters on Friday, the U.S. Acting Defense Secretary said the U.S. will speak to Russia to figure out how to avoid similar incidents in the future, but he stressed that the U.S. will not change its naval strategy in the wake of Russia's conduct, stating that the behavior was unsafe and unprofessional. We will have a military-to-military conversation with the Russians. To me, safety at the end of the day is most important. It will not deter us from conducting our operations. This near collision comes just 3 days after a Russian aircraft intercepted a U.S. plane over the Mediterranean Sea in an unprovoked and dangerous high-speed pass that endangered the lives of the American crew. And last month, U.S. planes intercepted Russian aircraft flying over the coast of Alaska. And the TASS news agency is reporting that Russian naval ships are to hold drills close to NATO's Baltic maneuvers. Several naval groups comprising corvettes, small missile ships, and an anti-submarine warfare vessel have sailed to practice ranges in the Baltic Sea for naval drills. The naval ships will practice anti-submarine warfare measures, notional missile strikes against a simulated enemy ship, perform artillery and torpedo fire, and deliver fire against air and sea targets of various complexity. The TASS source reported on June 8th that 3 Russian naval ships, specifically the missile corvettes, and the small missile ship, Levine, would be observing NATO's Baltic's 2019 maneuvers that have begun in the Baltic Sea on June 9th, also noting that reconnaissance capabilities will also be deployed. NATO's Baltic's 2019 exercise runs from June 9th to the 21st. It involves up to 40 surface ships and submarines and 40 aircraft from 18 countries. For the first time, the U.S. Second Fleet, reestablished in 2018, will take part in the maneuvers. So some very interesting news in regards to Russia being out there. But let's hope that there aren't any more confrontations either in the sea or in the air between Russia and the US. But as always, I will definitely continue to keep you updated. However, I would like to switch gears and talk about China just briefly. It is being reported by Fox News. China is promising to fight to the end if the U.S. escalates tensions in their ongoing trade war, as President Trump edges closer to deciding whether to impose tariffs on another $300 billion worth of Chinese goods. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said China is willing to negotiate with the U.S. if both sides are willing to come to a fair agreement, but said it was not afraid of fighting a trade war, stating that China does not want to fight a trade war, but we are not afraid of fighting a trade war. If the U.S. is ready to have equal consultations. Our door is wide open. If the United States only wants to escalate trade frictions, we will resolutely respond and fight to the end. Chinese state media has also warned that Beijing could cut the U.S. off from rare earth minerals that are widely used in electric cars and mobile phones. Meanwhile, President Trump has repeatedly said he is getting ready to meet the Chinese president at the summit in Japan at the end of June. However, China has not confirmed it. It definitely seems as if tensions have risen between the U.S. and China. But the same could be said of the U.S. and Iran. It is being reported that Iran's foreign minister stated just the other day that the U.S. should not expect to feel safe after launching what he described as economic wars against them. The stern-faced foreign minister offered a series of threats over the ongoing tensions gripping the Persian Gulf, stating that Mr. Trump himself has announced that the U.S. has launched an economic war against Iran. The only solution for reducing tensions in this region is stopping that economic war. He also went on to warn that whoever starts a war with us will not be the one who finishes it. And finally, it reports that the head of the UN atomic watchdog stated on Monday that Iran had already increased its uranium enrichment activities. And Iran previously announced it would quadruple its production of low enrichment uranium. Meanwhile, Russia has warned the international community against unreasonable attempts at escalating Iran's isolation into a military scenario. The Russian foreign minister stated on Tuesday that we want calm to return to this region. It is necessary to normalize relations between the Persian Gulf states, and also outside players should avoid fomenting differences. These are objective differences, but it is a bad sign that they are trying to shift them from ideological and political perspective to a military angle. I hope that Arab countries of the Persian Gulf understand that calls to bring a policy of isolating Iran to a military scenario are risky. He also stated that we are suggesting particular ideas which will enable the Arab states of the Persian Gulf and Iran to establish contacts between each other, alleviate mutual concerns, and ensure transparency on issues of military construction and military drills. These efforts should go hand in hand with the support from outside players, including the League of Arab States, the European Union, and the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. And the Times of Israel is reporting that an IDF general has warned Lebanon will pay a heavy price for working with Hezbollah. The head of the IDF Northern Command on Tuesday threatened overt and covert action against Hezbollah terror group and its home country of Lebanon in response to its efforts to build up terrorist infrastructure along the border. In the latest statements by senior military officers against the Iran-backed Lebanese militia, the major accused Hezbollah of violating the United Nations Resolution 1701, which ended the 2006 Second Lebanon War, by building infrastructure in the villages right here across the border and trying to threaten us with attack forces. The Northern Command chief said that in a future war against the terror group, the country of Lebanon was likely to pay a heavy price for allowing Hezbollah to take root there. He said Hezbollah's loyalty was and remains to the supreme leader of Iran, not to the citizens of Lebanon. And as a result of this, the nation of Lebanon will pay a heavy price in the next campaign for cooperating with the Shiite terror. Meanwhile, RT News is reporting that air defense systems have been activated in southern Syria, close to the border with Israel, as they repel an incoming missile attack allegedly launched by the IDF. Amid the strike on the strategic mountaintop, the IDF allegedly waged electronic warfare against Syrian army's radar installations, according to the SANA source. The high ground was captured by the government forces from al-Nusra terrorists in July 2018 and currently serves as a crucial air defense position. As of right now, no casualties from the strikes have been reported. The attack did cause some material damage, the agency reports, citing military sources that blamed Israel for the aggression. The IDF, in the meantime, has not commented on the alleged attack. Israel rarely acknowledges its cross-border raids against Syria and has repeatedly stated that it reserves the right to defend its national security by any means. In recent weeks, Tel Aviv has confirmed striking multiple Syrian army installation targets in retaliation to cross-border tensions surrounding the Golan Heights. Finally, it reports that Syria views Israeli intrusions as a blatant violation of its sovereignty and says they boost the morale of the remaining terrorists in the country. Syria has repeatedly urged the UN to put an end to Israeli strikes and intervene to stop these violations. In conclusion, a very tense situation all around, especially what's happening in the Middle East. But as always, I will follow these reports and continue to bring you updates. However, I'd love to hear from all of you, so please do leave your comments in the comments section. Tell me what you think about what's happening. Also, if you have a free moment, come and visit us on Facebook, where we have these stories and many more, as well as our website at www.cww7news.org. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and God bless.